everybody, I'm Jeff Briggs, host and executive producer of the Saturday Night Special here in our fabulous All-Tech Sound warehouse. Came across a really cool thing that Captain Bruce, one of the leaders of this program, did in 2013 with the Yardbirds. Bruce?
Hello and welcome to this special edition of the Saturday Night Special as presented by the Boston Concert Network. I'm Captain Bruce. Tonight's special edition represents a world premiere of sorts. We proudly present Glimpses, a Yardbirds tour documentary. In 2013, the Yardbirds released a multi-disc collection of video and audio called Making Tracks, which I produced. A part of that set included the tour documentary called Glimpses. My crew and I spent several weeks on the road with the band, experiencing every minute of life on the road with them. What we produced was an unvarnished, warts and everything look at life on the road as a Yardbird. Now this is a different Yardbirds lineup than you would see today were you to go see the band today. It also features the last recordings of Chris Drea, a founding Yardbird member who unfortunately had a stroke at the end of this particular tour and was forced to retire. But the Yardbirds are in fact a force to be reckoned with to this day. So I invite you to enjoy Glimpses.
Come back to the States because there's a very loyal audience over here, and people's memories go back a long way, and they still love the sort of music we play.
You know, if it wasn't for the fans, we wouldn't be able to do this. If people didn't come to the shows, we wouldn't even be able to tour, play gigs. So it's all about the fans, and I think it's very important to look a fan directly in the eye, and speak to them, and acknowledge that moment.
Well, touring today is so much nicer actually because one, we don't have to tour the whole time. In those days it used to be, relentless, night after night playing somewhere else. And so we were naturally, encouraged to work and work and work. And that was the sort of thing that broke up the band, in the end eventually, because it was just too much after about 4 or 5 years of that,
The venues are better, the PAs are better. In those days, we had to travel often on domestic airlines and such like, which we still do, but the public in those days, the majority of the American public, had not really come across people like us with slightly long hair and different sort of approach, So they made it a little uncomfortable. They were quite rude at times, Everything is much more geared up, much more professional now. You come to a nice theatre and you're treated respectfully and there's proper riders. And it's a much more professional thing. The relationship between promoter and artist, but that's in a better balance now.
And also, of course, it's much more comfortable, the tour buses and flying around aeroplanes, and we've got, of course, the fact that it's not all night after night. We could take weeks and even months off now, which is that would have been a sensible thing, I think, at the time. If, in retrospect, the manager has said, let's take 6 months off, have a good rest, let's go and have a nice holiday, and it just wasn't possible in those days to do that sort of thing. 6 months away and people would have forgotten all about you.
They did about 5 times at different parts of the stage, which is so funny.
So yeah, it's actually amazing because I hear so many stories of bands having all these issues, but I think it helps having the different generations, and I could imagine You know, if you're in a crazy wild band, a younger band that were maybe partying all the time, things could get a bit nasty.
Shall we go?
But generally, you know, we're all pretty laid back, we all get on, and, you know, I think that's the most important thing, and it was definitely part of the process. Auditioning, you know, Andy and Dave was kind of, how are they as people? Because, not that we're touring all the time, but when you do tour, that's really, really important. Personality is generally, usually sometimes more important than the ability on the instrument, I think. So yeah, we get on great. Yeah. I'm saying that now, in a week's time or 2 weeks' time, you never know.
When Ben came down and plugged in and started to play, that was a sound for me and an attack to the music that made me get off my chair. You know, just like the other guys. You know, it's just one of those things. You have it or you don't.
Well, it's been quite a trip, you know, the 4 or so years I've been in the band now. You know, they've been wonderful. I mean, not very many people can, you know, offer you a gig where they kind of let the reins down and almost let you do what you like. I mean, to be, as a guitar player, or a lead guitar player in this band, I can't think of another band that would be better to kind of join. I mean, you know, huge shoes to fill, and you know, nice, diverse audiences, all kinds of shows.
Yeah, we were chatting the other day, and I mentioned that when the Yardbirds started, my mum was 5 years old, and Jim and Chris didn't like that very much. No, they're still a right laugh, still like to rock out. So yeah, we have a good time. But no, when we're on stage and when we're playing, we have a laugh, we have a ball.
I'm dazed and confused. Is it stay? Is it go? I've been abused and I just want to know. Give me a clue as to where I am at.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, when I was a young kid in my early teens, reading about the Yardbirds and stuff, it was kind of it's a legendary name and one that means a lot to me as a player. So yeah, I am aware that we've got an important job to do to keep it sounding fresh and keep it sounding good.
Of course, my friends are extremely impressed that I'm playing in this band, you know, and needless to say, you know, it's good to boast about these little things every now and then.
I think there's so much that goes into a live concert that many people might not be aware of. I certainly wasn't aware of to quite how just a gig day could be, whether it be a 2 or 3 hour sound check to, you know, which involves many things.
We're on stage probably about 90 minutes on average per night, and the amount of travelling and the amount of waiting around, probably, you know, maybe another 12 hours of that is waiting around and travelling per day.
It's great to come back to the material because the material's, it is very exciting material. It's a great catalogue, small as it is, you know, and we got into lots of different things and different sounds. So, you know, it's very sustainable. Especially being out there every night of the week, you know, literally. And we get to travel, see people again, have a new audience. So there's lots of good stuff involved with it, you know. And it's rock and roll. So I mean, it's a genuine sort of rock and roll band, you know, inventive rock and roll band. And there's not many of the British Invasion guys left doing it like we do it, you know.
And Tommy's going to set the level, and then we'll do it again in further. Okay. You ready for that too? Yeah. Okay, we're going to run it first, let Tommy...
Well, the history of Glimpses was it was always a very fun song to do. It was always quite psychedelic, and we did use tapes in it of various radio broadcasts, I think probably about the Vietnam War. And Keith used to walk around with one of those incense burners that used to swing. And it was great fun.
Do you want to just try the intro with it out of the monitors now? For for the bass cue.
Oh, it's fine. I can hear it really, really well. So.
Cool.
I didn't have it in the monitors as well. This is called Glimpses, and I'm going to introduce it whilst Ben is tuning down to Dagdad. I don't think I'll need anything in the monitor, to be honest. I think it's loud enough.
I formed the Yardbirds with Top and then Jim when I was sort of 15 or 16, which is a pretty young age. I mean, I was married with a kid and a mortgage by the time I was 18. And here we are. You know, Jim and I have been playing, you know, with the Yardbirds this time, I think almost 3 times longer than the first time round. I mean, as crazy as that is.
I think Taylor was one of our songs off the Little Games album. I thought we thought it was a good song, but we never actually played it live until this very tour, and we played it here at Springfield for the first time. We only did one gig in the summer, and that was in London at this Vintage Festival. So I had a nice summer, so you know, it's all worked out. And this one's quite well organised, the journeys are not too far. But I get to the point, you know, 5 on a row is quite tough. Maybe it should be 3 or 4 and then a day off, because you really do appreciate that day off. I really do feel that.
Fortunate for us, we have Henry as a tour manager. I can't think of anyone I'd rather have as a tour manager. He's one of my favourite people in the world, and he makes everything very easy as it can be.
It wasn't until I got back on the road and started to revisit countries like America that I realised, well, wow, what an amazing, affectionate following we have for people. And I never realised how much difference we made on people's lives. And to me, that's been the most unbelievable thing, you know. And that's why I do it now, you know, because, you know, you meet people who, you know, not many people can say, well, I made a difference in that person's life, you know. And if we did it musically, then that's a great honour for me, and I really get off on that. Someone said to me the other day, your music's timeless. And I suppose that's possible because it's rooted in the blues, which is a timeless music. And I think the music that we created was eclectic and different enough and original enough. And it caught people's imagination. We broke a lot of rules, thank God. Influenced a lot of people.
What do you do with it? Look, there's 3 prongs, and there's 2 on there. How do you make a bloody cup of tea? 3 prongs and 2 in there.
This is the famous story of mistaken identity. I was quietly minding my own business in an acoustic venue, just doing one of those acoustic nights in London, and a guy called Ben comes up and introduces himself as he's the guitarist in the Yardbirds, and it's a long story, but he invited me down to the to audition for the Yardbirds on the condition that I learned harmonica. It later transpired that there was another guy with the same name as me who my predecessor John Iden had suggested. So Ben kind of did some research on the internet and sort of found me just by mistake, really, just randomly, and that's how I got my audition. And then I was asked back for a second audition, and I was very happy to get the gig. After every single gig, you will have at least one audience member saying it transported them back. It sounded just like the good old days. So we're doing something right.
It became quite difficult in the end. I mean, there was lots of ups and downs. It was great sometimes, when we had hits and when we did a great show somewhere and people went mad. But then the other side of that would be driving for hours through the night, and we actually got to one gig somewhere. It was a festival. We'd driven all the way through the night, and that had been about 14 hours. And we got to this festival, and we said to the promoter, okay, well, we're here now, but we'd like to go to the hotel and just have a shower, just clean up. And the guy said, oh no, we don't want you to do that. And said, in fact, if you try and drive out of here, we're going to shoot the tyres. So that's the sort of thing we come up against sometimes.
Yeah, having a rave up, baby.
So how would I describe a rave up? Well, a rave up is kind of an explosion of energy, really. It's where the whole band is kind of locked into this this kind of tension, if that's right, you know, sort of anticipation of like a volcanic explosion. And but it's not just the band that's involved in the rave up, it's the whole audience, you know, everybody's kind of willing each other on to you know, a massive climax. That's the only way I can really describe it. We'd be doing all-nighters in club scenes or whatever, and there'll be moments that suddenly, you know, you hit a very exciting point and you just want to build and build on that. And as you built the music to some sort of power crescendo, the audience also, they'd be hanging off the roof, they'd be taking their shirts off, there'd be this amazing energy going on. And that's really how that sort of, how that happened. It was a sort of interaction between audience and the music we were playing.
What is a rave up?
What is a rave up?
A musical crescendo where everyone goes a bit mental together and tries to come out of it at the same time and just hope it works.
Rave ups, it's a collaborative effort. It really is. It's about, you know, the band playing as a unit rather than any one person taking a solo, opening those ears and listening to what's going on and responding instinctively, I suppose, and making a lot of noise in the process.
I've got a chance, for me it's just incredibly exciting to have a chance to play with Chris Dreyer and Jim McCarthy and play some amazing songs. I mean, I get a kick out of playing Heart Full of Soul every time we do it, because it's an amazing song that means a lot to me.
Sing that heart lonely, deep in darkness fear. Maybe one heart only, where she tell me where, and if she says to you.
Shapes of Things is probably, for me, it's a great song first and foremost. It's a great song with very poignant lyrics that still sound relevant today, and you know, great riffs. And it's pretty wild, to be honest. It's kind of amazing to know that that stuff was written so long ago. And, you know, God bless the Yardbirds for striving excellence in everything they did. You know, striving for excellence. It's quite important, I think.
Well, obviously, you know, we're trying not to be sort of a jukebox experience or a karaoke experience, which kind of is a sign of the times for our society now.
Heartbeat drives you mad in the stillness of remembering what you had and what you lost.
He wants to do R&B.
Thank you for serenading our friends. They went back upstairs, but like,
never mind.
it's their wedding night. So.
Well, I hope.
You know exactly how I'm feeling.
Yeah, but I need to hear you say it.
I guess as long as we enjoy it and we can still get around. I suppose the travelling is the worst part, you know, and the jet lag has become more difficult these days. We seem to be able to get over it, you know. It's up and down, so we'll see. There's no good if we're just sort of playing like a bit of a tired old rock band. That doesn't work for this sort of music. It has to be dynamic, and these young guys are really helping us because they've got all the energy and the enthusiasm, you know, to help out. Good energy on stage, you know, it's a good, it's powerful, you know, powerful on stage, and it needs to be. But we keep taking the pills, you know.
That has to be one of the coolest things I've watched in a long time. Thank you very much for joining us. That was Glimpses. This is the Saturday Night Special.